Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the What the Football channel. This is the Scrubber and BH show, or the BH and Scrubber show, depending on what you like. We already did a mock draft earlier with a trade. This mock draft is going to be with we already pick our quarterback, and that's going to be Drake Maye. You can see it there for yourself. And we couldn't do this without BH. And BH puts a lot of work into this, and he's got the mastermind for football. So we're all going to listen up. Welcome, BH.
Hey, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was fun to do that trade draft. Just for the folks out there who, kind of have that theory that they'd like us to get a bunch of extra picks, really fill the team out. And I think in ours draft, we ended up getting Michael Penix
Yeah.
for the quarterback in the second round, he's a real good quarterback. But anyway, this one is a standard draft, and I think in the next week we'll just do one more, and that'll be our final cooking. That'll be I think I would say our favorites draft. In other words, it's not so much a prediction, but like the kind of a draft we'd love to see the Commanders get. But Yep. But for today, here we go. It's as far as everyone's concerned, is between Drake Maye and Jaden Daniels. So I like them both a lot. And there he is. There's our guy. I would have no problem with Drake Maye.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I like his build, and he's got some good qualities to him. Each quarterback has this amount of qualities, and that one has that qualities. It's really it's hard to just judge. So I think, like we always say, our guys are processing like they're supposed to be, and I trust everything they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I like him. He's he's a little on the younger, inexperienced side, but he's got the body. Got that kind of Justin Herbert style body, and he can run. And I think this would be a great guy to build around if we took him. So, there you go. That I would like. So now moving on to our second round pick, we got two second rounders. So now this is interesting. I used a different draft website for this one, and what they do is, they allow guys to drop. I saw hundreds of their drafts. They list them, they show them, so they're pretty fair because in every draft, guys drop. Guys that aren't, there are guys. This is good for us at the beginning of the second, that guys show up at pick 36 and 40 that aren't supposed to be there, at least pre-draft. And so anyway, in this draft, we get real lucky. We get a young guy named Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Played a lot of right tackle. I think he doesn't have a lot of experience, but with what we find with most of these offensive tackles, man, you really go. I mean, film's important, but you got to have that build. You got to have long arms, big hands, preferably 6'5" minimum. 310, 315, 320. You just got to have that build, or you'll just get killed out there.
They're huge.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're huge, and they're like, what do they call that when just like they're the outlier. They're that one of a kind human being, and that's what Tyler Guyton is. He doesn't have a lot of experience, and so this is why I think he could possibly fall into the second round, because I think this is a guy that could possibly start at right tackle right away, but I think he'll need some time to work and develop. And quite frankly, right now, I feel like we got a bunch of right tackles anyway, sitting on this roster. I mean, we need a left tackle. That's a story for another day. But this would not be a bad way to go. This is a guy we could develop. I mean, I think you agree, man. We've got to start getting better and younger on this offensive line.
And that's a part of that process we talk about. That's what those guys said. We're going to build this team through the draft, not through the free agency, and that would be a part of it. And I'm, as much as I want to win the Super Bowl this year, we got to wait another year. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So, all right, I
did. It is. Yeah.
I look at
and like we were talking.
Go ahead.
Oh, I would say, yeah, and like a lot of these guys are like really, these are the guys that are going to be set and starting next year. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, that's why we got a bunch, like you said, we got a bunch of 1-year contracts in free agency, So now here's another slider. Now to get both of these, see, this was a unicorn draft because to get both of these guys to fall, one of these guys could fall, but not both. But hey, I didn't make the software. I didn't develop it. It's not my app. So we're going to run. This is a great wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell. He's an absolute stud. I mean, he's 6'2", 205, super fast. I mean, he's has all the athletic traits. For a guy 6'2", he ran a 4.34 40, and he's just amazing. The thing with and AD Mitchell, what they call him, he's with Texas now. Before he was with Georgia, and he made some incredible catches. He's really one of these guys that makes these game-winning catches. You know how a lot of guys disappear when the game's on the line? Well, this guy's the opposite. Man, when there's a highlight, when there's a great play, this guy is a stud. But I will say, and the reason he's falling is he's got a lot of uneven production. And I watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube where, he looks like a star, but then there's times where he looks like he takes off plays and, he doesn't finish his routes. And so, there's a little bit, and the same, it's like we talk about Tyler Guyton. There's just enough things to make people concerned and go, yeah, I like this guy a lot, but man, we need a corner, and I'm just not going to take a chance. And they go get a corner, and then the next team says, man, we need a defensive tackle. And even though these guys are good, they look at the development, they look at some of the how should you say? There's some warnings or red flags that they just don't like. And then they might pass, but I don't know. I mean, if a guy like this passed, like you said, if our guys, if Adam Peters and those guys said, no, we like this guy, he'll be fine when he comes in here, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So
definitely. I watched some of this guy's film. He looked really good. He looked like he could be a good red zone man.
Oh yeah.
Score touchdowns. Yep. He did have a little bit of drops. He's like you said, but I like his height. I thought he was bigger than 6'2". I thought he was.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'4" or something like that. 6'4", 205.
Yeah, he let me double check. Maybe I was off on that one. I got on NFL.com, I got 6'2".
Okay.
But
maybe
still,
the guy.
But you know what? Yeah. Guys play bigger. There's some guys that play bigger than they are, and he's one of them. He just goes up and he can stab the ball. So yeah, I like him a lot. So very cool. So now moving on, now we're in the third round, and I kind of went back and forth here with a lot of different players and a lot of different positions, and I was looking at value, but I really did like this guy, Braylon Trice, the edge from Washington. And we talked about him, or we talked about the edge position in the other draft, where we really don't have, we've got some okay players, but we got a lot of okay players and maybe 1-year rentals.
1 year.
But we really need to get someone on the other side of what's his name, Dorrance Armstrong. We got to get someone else out there. So I like this guy. He's like he played pretty heavy in college. I mean, he's like up to 265, and he was kind of funny. He lost weight for the combine, I think, so he could run a low 40. So I'm not really sure what his playing weight would be, but let's see what they got him at. He is 6'3.5", 245.
Okay.
And he's really good. He's one of those guys that how some guys test real good, but on field they just don't seem to be able to put it together. Braylon Trice is the opposite. He didn't really test out that great. None of his stuff was all that good, but his film, the guy can just play defensive end. He just knows how to come in and play. And I think this would be a good pickup for us at this point in the draft. this is where really a lot of now you're getting a lot of, after this, as far as edge players, just getting a lot of stand up 3-4 kind of hybrid edge guys, or guys that just don't have enough twitch and moves except to be a solid player, but a backup. But Braylon Trice is like getting here at this point in the draft. He's a guy that could start. So,
nice.
Yeah. I like him. So he'll be good. I just feel like, what's that?
I keep standing. No. I keep stepping on your. I keep stepping on you. You go ahead.
Oh, no. It's good. We're good. Anything more on Braylon Trice?
Just that he's from UW. I did watch his film. He looked really good.
Excellent.
Very go get it. I thought he was great.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I mean, and that's what I read in a couple coaches' comments were that, super active, doesn't give up, and that's good. That's important. So, all right, man. So now this is 78 and this is our second one. So, yeah, once again, boy, I went a lot of different ways in this draft. Like I was looking at offensive guards, and I looked at some other tackles. And but as far as value, I really like this guy, Kyrie Jackson from Oregon. He just, I don't know, man. He's a big dude.
Yeah,
he's really good. Yeah, he's a really good tackler. He's a great guy to come up and play man. I think he's the kind of guy the coach is going to want. I think we really need to have someone like that in the room, because even though we got a lot of players and we got some good young players, I just don't think they can wait another year. I think they got to get a really good corner in the room this year. You know what I mean? Because like you say, it's not about not winning the Super Bowl this year. It's getting the best guys. And what are we going to get from Forbes? I mean, is he even really a good fit for what the coach is going to want to do? I don't know. He's so slight. Yeah. So I like Kyrie Jackson. He's good. He's got, he's a big guy, man. So like 6'4", so he's pretty tall, but good tackler, can play good against the run, which is what I think our coach likes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I watched some of his film. He did get after the quarterback. He's one thing I liked about him. He had good tackling technique. He didn't hesitate. He just jumped in and he tackled people. None of this throwing his shoulder at a guy and trying to take him out with that stupid kind of stuff. And with this new tackling rule that's coming up this year, let's hope that tackling technique is going to be high on the list of teaching some of these guys, because we had big problems with that, in my opinion, last year. And as far as Emmanuel Forbes goes, I personally don't care for the guy. You know how I am about that. So the more corners we get in this room, the better off I feel we are.
Yeah, and I do, and that was another thing. I tried to go with guys that would fit what coach wants and how the style of play. So when I looked at a ton of corners, man, and when it said, not strong against the run, needs to work on tackling, I just threw them to the side. I just knew that wasn't going to work.
Nice.
So yeah, and Theo Johnson, man, have you gotten to see any of this guy?
I did. Yeah. No, he's good at a lot of things. He can block. He runs his routes well. He's probably the type of tight end you could really scheme him open. He had a couple of shortcomings, but I thought they were minor. So he looked really, really good.
Yeah, I'm glad he really did. And this is a guy to where, and this is where it gets weird in the draft. They may, I know this app shows him available, but if they feel that tight end is a need, and it probably is. I mean, let's face it. We talked about it last week. I mean, Zach Ertz he's good, but he's at the end of his career, and then we have a bunch of guys, They got to pinpoint someone. So they might have to take him at 78. Really.
Okay.
They might have to grab him. And he was I mean, as far as a measurables guy, he's the opposite. His on-field play was good, but there was some of it was a little sporadic. The blocking was okay, but not great for a guy as big as he is. But man, his athleticism scores were through the roof. I mean, for the guy that big, he ran a 4.57 40, and I mean, he's got a 39.5-inch vertical, which for everyone out there is close to 40 inches. I mean, geez, 35 is good. And he had a really nice broad jump. I mean, if you can do 9 feet 8 inches, he did 10 feet 5, which shows explosiveness, lower body strength, and then you can still run a 4.57 40. I mean, man, so we may have to dig a little deeper to go get this guy. So I think he's on a lot of people's radar. So anyway, let's see what happens. I would not be mad getting Theo Johnson.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Javon Foster.
And here we go. Oh, yeah. That's a guy you and we have talked about Javon Foster already, because, he's sort of I mean, to me, I'm always surprised when they show him as a 4th and 5th rounder, because he just seems to, he played left tackle. Like, a lot of these guys coming out, and they're very good. Don't get me wrong. Like Tyler Guyton, the guy we would take here, like in this draft that we took in the 2nd round, that guy only played right tackle. I mean, Javon Foster's played left tackle for 3 years. And yeah, and he's got some shortcomings. But man, I watched a lot of videos on the guy, and man, he looked really good to me. He's got the long arms, he's got that build. I would say the one thing about him, he seemed to be carrying a lot of extra weight. He needed more conditioning, a little jelly-like, he needed to tighten up his body, I think. And so, man, if he can replace that fat, with muscle, I think that's the guy. So, I mean, and at this point, if he's here at 139, I think he's well worth taking because, you know what? He's a guy that you could develop. I mean, he's so big, maybe you can move him into guard. And at this point of the draft, that's where, that's what you're hoping for. You want someone, you're just hoping they can contribute somewhere at some point. You know what I mean? It is a bit of a dart throw at this point. And if there weren't if there weren't question marks for Javon Foster, I don't think he would show up so late. But I don't know. I saw some interviews with him. Smart guy, calm, and smart too. I mean, I saw a couple interviews and one where they really asked him about his role, how he played. The line calls, working up with switches and different things. And man, he didn't stumble on one answer. I mean, he really knew his job. So anyway, I like Javon Foster. I'd like to, at 139, I'd be happy with them.
I did watch a little bit on him. It looked to me like he could get downfield and block. He was smart enough to know how to do that, pick up the guy he was supposed to get, and do his pull blocks and all that kind of stuff. So if he's smart on top of all of that, you can't go wrong. You need them to be able to play up inside their head as much as in their body, their physicality.
Yeah,
it's good that he comes across as being smart and on top of his game.
Yeah. One last point, because you reminded me, that's a good point. Even though I said physically he needs to tighten up a little, like get some more muscle mass in there and all, because those guys they got to get to 320, 315, and and we've seen offensive linemen, they're pretty big dudes, but they're very athletic. But despite that, you make a great point, because in a lot of the videos I watched, he was really able to get to his second level blocks. I mean, he really was able to get out there and land guys. So, yep.
We'll take him.
Very cool. Yep. All right. Okay. Now here's a wild one. Been watching this guy quite a bit. Christian Boyd from Northern Iowa. Now, That's not Iowa. That's not Iowa State. That's Northern Iowa. Yeah, he's something else. I like this guy. I don't know where he's going to go in the draft, but his profile is like a nose tackle because he's like almost 6'3", but he's 329. He's got this monster lower body leg strength, and he really can tie offensive linemen up. I mean, he's called, that's what they call a zero technique, where all you do is just take on two blockers and just stuff them right there and let the other people around you. So he's really good at that. But what was fun to watch him was he could really also penetrate. He did when they let him go, man, he could move guys out of the way. He had great burst. It was really amazing to watch. Now, he's a straight line burst kind of guy. So he's not, he can't, you can move him out a little bit to defensive end, believe it or not, in certain alignments if you just let him go. Now, he's not a guy who can scrape left to right and right to left and chase people down, not at 330 pounds. But he's kind of a weird guy because usually, defensive linemen, they're a zero nose guard technique, stuff the run, eat up lineman kind of guy, or they're a penetrator. And I've watched a lot of his stuff and read a lot about him, and he can do both. And he looked pretty good. I mean, he could at least be really good for our rotation because right now, I mean, let's be honest, Fedarian and who's our other big boy, John Ridgway.
Yeah.
They've been good, but I just don't know if they're good enough. You know what I mean? And we'll find out, obviously, when the season starts. But anyway, I think it'd be nice to have someone like Christian Boyd in there to stir things up.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, looking to the future as well. So, and our boy Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, they need rest every now and then. They can't be playing as many snaps as they had been playing last year. They were just too many snaps. So it'd be good somebody get them in there, and they might even change up the defensive scheme. Who knows?
Change
up a little bit and give those guys a rest. Go to 3-4 or something crazy like that, and where you have a nose guard all the time. And so we'll see how.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I did watch some of his film. I was impressed. I liked it. I didn't watch a lot of him. He was a little harder to find than some of the other guys. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, being from Northern Iowa, but you make a good point though about they've pretty much said like we're not going to be defined by 3-4 or 4-3, and that's what I liked about Christian Boyd because they did say if you can put him out as the 3 technique, some of that defensive end, you can move him around, not for play after play after play after play. Right. Mm-hmm. But with that burst on a 3rd and 12,
right?
You can take that guy and you can tell him, "Hey, go get it." So I kind of like this versatility. So yeah, be a good guy to have.
All right.
So now this is that's a long bunch of picks between 152 and 222, huh?
You're almost getting a number irrelevant there. It's right on the back end of that.
Yep. Yeah, this is like total. Yeah, this is totally throw the dart time, and you're getting solid backups and development guys. This is just Trevor Keegan from that Michigan line, which was actually I think the last 2 years, I think it might have been rated the number 1 college line overall line in football. They really were good as a team. Those 5 guys were really good, and this guy's good. I mean, he can work. He's very good at power blocking and does some of that zone blocking stuff. And he's got a lot of experience. So he might not be a high upside guy, which I looked around at a lot of different people and in a lot of the drafts towards the end where you can take a flyer on a high upside guy. But I started thinking, why not just get a guy with a high floor, Trevor Keegan? You know who he is. He's probably not going to be spectacular, but he'll be good and give you what you want and save all those, throwing a dart for some high upside guy. Just save that for the undrafted free agents. Mm-hmm. So that was my theory there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michigan ran the ball a lot too.
Yes.
They did.
A whole lot. A ton.
And maybe putting them in with you squeeze them in between Beatis and Lucas. Maybe he does well, if who's it, Allegretti gets hurt, something like that.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I'm glad you said that. And that's another good thing because Keegan did play left guard pretty much.
Yep.
That was it. I mean, I'm sure he could play right guard, obviously, but he did play left guard. So yeah, I think he'd be perfect for over there. Since Sam Cosme, for the most part, he's got right guard sewn up. So thanks for bringing that up. That's another reason I liked him because his main position was the left side.
Yep. Awesome stuff. Great mock draft, dude. Very happy with it. It's
man.
been a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot doing this stuff. I never have done this kind of thing before, and it's fascinating. I'm not very good at watching the tape. I'm learning, so I watch people who watch tape and listen to them and look at what they're looking for, and I'm starting to figure it out. I watched JT Sullivan was on PFF the other day. He's interesting, so I like watching his stuff. And then that Dane, God, I forget his name. He was on PFF the other Bugler.
Oh yeah, Dane Brugler.
Yeah, he was on the other day. I find those two interesting. I learn a lot listening to them, and you as well. It's amazing to me. I just gather so much information just to hear you talk and the way you analyze, and you do your homework on this stuff. And I appreciate it, man. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks, man. It is a lot of fun. And it's funny. I see Dane. I mean, I feel like I was reading, tons of Dane Brugler stuff like 10 and 15 years ago. He's a young looking guy, but I mean, I think he's been doing it a long time. Yeah, I've been reading Dane Brugler's stuff for years, and he's really good. I like him a lot. So, he's very interesting. So, and there's so many good guys. When I start watching and there's someone boring and talking too much, I just can't man. I go, there's too many good people out there to sit and listen to this.
Yeah. So that's why I like that JT Sullivan guy too. So
yes. Yeah, he just puts it out there.
Well, let's not talk too much either. They're going to click off. So
here we go. They're going to send us out of here. All right, man. Well, we'll do another one next week, our final one, but that'll be our killer BH, Scrubber, and BH, the draft to end all drafts with the best possible players. This draft, I have no problem with this draft, but I think we got a better one coming.
Nice. And then, of course, if you're up to it, we're going to do the Thursday draft. So we've been busy here lately, and it's been a lot of fun. So,
and we'll live stream that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thursday night.
All right.
Thursday
Thanks,
night.
Scrub.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.